Before creation took shape, before the rivers found their beds and the stars found their names, there was wisdom, silent, eternal, observing all things. And from that ocean of divine consciousness emerged Orunmila, the spirit of infinite knowledge, the witness to creation, and the keeper of destiny. Orunmila is not merely a deity, he is the consciousness of divine order, the principle through which all mysteries become known. He is the voice of ELA, the embodiment of truth that holds the balance between heaven and earth. Orunmila, often referred to as Orula or Orunla in the African diaspora, holds a singularly elevated position within the Yoruba spiritual hierarchy. He is revered universally as the Orisha of wisdom, knowledge, and divination, guiding practitioners on their spiritual journeys. His authority stems directly from Olodumare, the supreme god, who is believed to have granted Orunmila vast knowledge concerning human existence during the initial moment of creation. To understand Orunmila is to understand the science of divine intelligence, that wisdom is not accumulated, it is remembered. He teaches that everything in existence carries its own destiny, encoded before birth, and that the purpose of life is to align with that divine pattern to live in truth, not illusion. Orunmila's essence reveals three core mysteries. The mystery of balance. Every event, joy, and suffering are tools of alignment. There is no misfortune, only correction. The mystery of destiny. What we call fate is not punishment. It is the path chosen by our higher self in Orun before descending to Aye. The mystery of knowledge. True wisdom is the remembrance of divine order, to see beyond appearances, and to act from spiritual clarity, not emotion. This knowledge base is unique because Orunmila is categorized as an Era Orun, a primordial Orisha. This status denotes a divine being who existed in the spiritual realm, Orun, before the creation of humanity and the subsequent descent of the Iranmol, sacred beings living on earth. Having witnessed the entire creation of the universe and the other Orishas, Orunmila's knowledge is inherent to the original cosmic design. This ontological classification is crucial, establishing that the Ifa system, which he embodies and administers, is not merely prophetic interpretation, but a comprehensive, mathematical, and theological blueprint of all potential destinies, thereby giving it ultimate spiritual validation and objectivity. Many traditions also consider him a historical figure, a great sage, philosopher, and prophet who lived on earth around 500 BC in Ile-Ife, one of the earliest Yoruba cities in Nigeria. In this context, he is viewed as an Orisha, a venerated ancestor, due to his profound contribution to the spiritual and cultural life of the Yoruba people, similar to how Socrates is viewed in Greek philosophy. Orunmila's functional preeminence is encoded in his authoritative titles, which articulate his theological role relative to both the divine hierarchy and human fate. The most potent of these titles is Igbakeji Olodumare, which translates to second in command to Olodumare. This title formally recognizes his delegated authority, placing him immediately below the supreme god and emphasizing his capacity to execute the divine will. He is the ultimate intermediary, counseling both humans and other deities and shuttling between heaven and earth to fulfill the works of Olodumare. A parallel and equally significant epithet is Eleri Ipin, or the witness of fate. This title is central to the efficacy of Ifa divination. It affirms that Orunmila knows the destiny, Ori, of every human being, because he was present when that destiny was chosen by the individual before birth. This pre-creation, holistic knowledge means that the Ifa system, contained within the 256 Odu, encompasses a complete knowledge of all possible outcomes and circumstances. Furthermore, Orunmila is known as Agboniragun, the prophet of Ifa, emphasizing his role as the historical sage who established the practice on earth. Despite his identity as a transcendent Ara Orun, Orunmila also has narratives detailing his sojourn on earth, enabling him to institutionalize the system of Ifa. Tradition states that Orunmila arrived on earth to help humanity with his vast, limitless wisdom, bridging the spiritual gap between Olodumare Orun and humanity Aye. After traveling through various towns where he did not feel adequately appreciated, he finally settled at Oke Itase in Ile-Ife, Osun State, Nigeria, where the people welcomed him with devotion. His presence on earth led to the creation of the Ifa system and the concept of the Babalawo, Ifa priests, confirming him as the first high priest. As a reward to the devoted populace of Oke Itase, he blessed the Ope, palm tree, ensuring that every part of it would become valuable and relevant, thus sanctifying the primary material source for the divination tools used in his tradition. His physical descent provided a practical, accessible model for accessing the cosmic wisdom, anchoring the ethereal knowledge of destiny within a tangible religious structure. Ifa is the core philosophical and literary tradition overseen by Orunmila. It is not merely a method of prophecy, but the systematized expression of Olodumare's wisdom intended to maintain cosmic order and guide human conduct. Ifa is understood to be the definitive voice or wisdom of the Supreme God, provided to Orunmila to ensure that humanity could live according to the divine will. Orunmila is therefore described as the physical manifestation of Ifa, embodying the totality of this divine counsel. Orunmila offers guidance intended to align individuals with their true purpose and destiny, addressing critical matters of personal growth, relationships, and societal harmony. The essence of Ifa is to provide clarity and the necessary tools for devotees to navigate life's complexities and make informed decisions leading to a more harmonious existence. The transmission of Orunmila's wisdom to the earthly realm relies upon specialized ritual technology. These instruments possess a distinct hierarchy based on their sacred status and frequency of use. Most sacred tools are the Okin, sacred palm nuts, which are considered the direct physical representation of Orunmila himself. The Akin are reserved exclusively for the most critical consultations, such as lifelong destiny readings or major ceremonial revelations, often requiring significant ritual rigor to complete. These are utilized on the Oponifa, divination board, which is typically dusted with cascarilla, chalk. For routine or less complex inquiries, the opal, divining chain, is used. The opal is sometimes described as Orunmila's assistant or slave, providing quicker, simpler divination compared to the lengthy ritual required by the Okin. The true depth of Orunmila's teachings lies in their ethical and functional application, moving Ifa beyond prediction into the realm of spiritual engineering. Central to Orunmila's philosophy is the concept of Iwa Pele, meaning good or gentle character. The teachings explicitly emphasize that ethical behavior and personal growth are prerequisites for benefiting from divine guidance. Divination reveals the path, but character determines the ability to walk it. The attainment of Eni and Gidi, the truly authentic human being, is described as a staged process. This begins with Iwa Pele, encompassing right character and correct action. It then proceeds to Iwa Lewa, which denotes the unity of one's character with the inherent spiritual beauty of the natural world. The final stage is Iwa Laya, defined as maintaining a moral and righteous life without regression. This emphasis on self-mastery confirms that Orunmila's system is not based on blind submission to fate, but rather on the individual's profound responsibility to align their ethical self with the destiny chosen by their Ori, personal divine consciousness. The implementation of Ifa's wisdom requires the active participation of Esu Elegbara. While Orunmila provides the spiritual diagnosis via the Odu, Esu functions as the essential mechanism of enforcement, communication, and dynamic consequence management. Esu, who sees and records all happenings in the universe, is invoked during every divination process. The relationship operates as follows. Orunmila dictates the necessary ebo, sacrifice, spiritual work, and Esu, often referred to as the effector or policeman between heaven and earth, ensures the proper carrying out of the ritual and the transport of the offering to its intended spiritual destination. Esu is the Orisha of communication, understanding all languages, and guaranteeing that the transactional link between the terrestrial, human offering, and the celestial, divine reception, is successful. The codependence of Orunmila, knowledge, and Esu, action consequence, establishes a closed-loop system of cosmic accountability. Ifa is thus profoundly pragmatic, requiring that knowledge be instantly synthesized into corrective spiritual action. Esu plays the role of challenger, helping to build character by testing individuals in life and occasionally lifting the restraints on destructive forces, Ajugan, to impart necessary lessons to those who act arrogantly or lack integrity. Furthermore, Orunmila, the great sage, recognizes the foundational importance of Ori itself. Ori, the embodiment of personal destiny and intuition, is the prime Orisha, capable of interceding and affecting a person's reality more powerfully than any other external deity. Orunmila's function is therefore to provide the map to the individual's pre-chosen Ori. This philosophical structure places ultimate responsibility on the individual, using Orunmila's knowledge as the navigational tool for achieving self-mastery and fulfilling their destiny. The connection between Orunmila and ELA is one of spiritual identity and ritual materiality, defining how abstract divine wisdom becomes a sustainable physical resource. ELA is frequently used in traditional contexts as a name or epithet closely associated with Orunmila and Ifa. Linguistically, ELA often integrates into the theological interpretation of Orunmila, whose name can be parsed as a reference to the spiritual realm knowing who will be saved or healed. ELA embodies this concept of divine deliverance and spiritual essence. Beyond divination, Orunmila is revered as the god of plants and remedies, a great healer who watches over all living things. This identification as a healer connects the abstract wisdom of Ifa directly to practical, tangible wellness. The prescriptions derived from Ifa often necessitate the use of botanical remedies, positioning Orunmila's system as comprehensive in addressing both spiritual malaise and physical ailments. The most direct cultural and ritual link between Orunmila and ELA resides in the sacred materials of the divination system. As previously noted, Orunmila blessed the ope, palm tree. The palm tree is the source of the yokin, sacred palm nuts, and frequently the material for the opal chain. ELA is often understood to be the spiritual essence or ashe residing within the sacred palm, symbolizing the necessary transformation of divine knowledge from the ethereal realm, Orun, into a physical, accessible, and renewable terrestrial resource, Aye. The existence of ELA ensures the perpetuation and efficacy of the divinatory mechanism. In essence, ELA is the divine light and knowledge, and Orunmila is the primary spiritual entity who embodies and delivered that divine wisdom, Ifa, to the world. The ritual implements are thus not just tools. They are the physical embodiment of Orunmila's materialized power, providing the spiritual access that allows the priest to bridge fate and the temporal moment of consultation. The perpetuation of Orunmila's wisdom is entrusted to a specialized priesthood with rigorous standards of training and conduct. The male priests of Ifa are known as Babalawos, fathers of secrets. Their role is to interpret Orunmila's messages using the sacred tools and the Odu Ifa corpus. The training required to achieve this status is exceptionally rigorous, traditionally involving a multi-year apprenticeship that requires deep concentration and dedication. A critical component of the training involves the identification and memorization of a vast number of Ifa verses associated with all 256 Odu, beginning with the 16 principal signs. This intense memorization and subsequent interpretative skill ensures that the Babalawo's authority is earned through intellectual and spiritual discipline, rather than solely by ritual initiation. The female priests of Ifa are called Iyanifas, mothers of Ifa, or Iyalawos. The historical basis for female participation is strong, with Odu Ifa verses documenting Orunmila, confirming that gender should not bar women from practicing Ifa. However, the question of women's initiation to the highest levels remains a contentious issue in the modern, globalized tradition. This debate often centers on ritual practices associated with the mysterious Orisha Odu. This controversy has been particularly pronounced in the African diaspora, specifically within male-dominated Cuban Lukumi houses, which actively oppose the ministries of Iyanifas. The tension is complex, often framed not merely as a gender conflict, but as a contest over global authority between traditional Cuban diasporic houses and modern West African or American-based assemblies. The increasing number of female initiates, often well-educated and financially capable of traveling to Africa for traditional initiation, highlights the dynamic evolution of religious structures under global scrutiny. While some diasporic groups remain restrictive, the evidence shows that the Yoruba tradition itself, particularly in West Africa, has been flexible regarding female diviners, indicating a system that continues to adapt to societal shifts while maintaining its sacred core. The strength of Orunmila's Ifa system allowed it to survive and thrive following its transplantation from Yorubaland to the Americas via the transatlantic slave trade, becoming foundational to several Afro-diasporic religions. Ifa traveled across the Atlantic, where it was preserved, adapted, and integrated into New World religions. It is integral to Cuban Santeria, Regla de Osha Ifa, where Orunmila is known as Orula, as well as being venerated in Candomblé, Umbanda, and Haitian Vodou. In Cuba, Orula is the supreme oracle, and Ifa maintains a high degree of ritual distinction and integrity. In Brazilian Candomblé, while the Jogo de Bucios, Cowrie divination, is often utilized as the primary oracle, The complete Ifa system and the presence of Babalawos exist within certain Africanist traditions. A significant development since the 1970s has been the religious transnationalism that seeks to harmonize these traditions. West African Babalawos have actively engaged in training and initiating practitioners in the United States and Brazil, a movement designed to re-Africanize and standardize practices that diverged during centuries of isolation. This transnational convergence confirms that Orunmila's tradition functions as the definitive spiritual bridge, unifying global practitioners under the central authoritative principles of Ifa. The mystery of Orunmila cannot be separated from ELA, for ELA is his spiritual twin, his essence, his divine echo. In Yoruba theology, ELA represents the pure light of divine consciousness, the manifestation of wisdom in human form. While Orunmila is the witness, ELA is the manifestation of that witnessing, the active force that descends into the world to bring order where there is confusion. Their union is profound. Orunmila is wisdom in potential. ELA is wisdom in action. Orunmila observes destiny. ELA transforms destiny. When an initiate calls upon Ifa, they invoke both Orunmila as the divine intelligence and ELA as the force that brings illumination to the seeker's life. Thus, Orunmila and ELA are two aspects of the same eternal truth, the descent of divine wisdom into human understanding. Brothers and sisters of light, to walk with Orunmila is to walk in remembrance, to awaken the ancient knowing within your soul that you are not lost, you are learning. Seek not fortune but clarity. Do not chase miracles, become the miracle. Let Ifa be your compass, and let ELA guide your steps through the labyrinth of destiny. For when wisdom lives in your heart, no darkness can hide your path, and no storm can move your soul from divine alignment. Remember this, knowledge is the light that transforms ignorance into harmony. To know yourself is to know the universe, for they are one and the same. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Oshinoju Odu, signing out.